wrestling side of what he's done is a lot better documented than what he did in Japan, more on a pop culture level. And I just wanted to know more about it.
Okay. Wrestling wise or culture wise or
Yeah, more culture wise, because
yeah,
obviously his big matches
sure.
in JWA and All Japan are relatively well documented, but I don't think I couldn't find anything in writing about his TV career.
Oh, really?
Mm.
In English then. It's
No.
so much is written in Japanese.
And when I think it, as I kind of explained the other day, with even the title of what he was involved or the television program he was on, it's
That
hard to
didn't
even.
really translate, huh?
No. So, and there was a few good write-ups about it, but because of the translation, it was very difficult to understand. And I apologize. I'm taking baby steps
No,
in
no, that's fine because the Google Translate is just doesn't work and it always loses something in
yeah.
translation and never translate the nuance. Yeah,
Mm.
the direct translation would have been yes, rumor channel. you know, yeah, it's a Friday night 10 o'clock like Talk of Town TV. You know, it's much like your Saturday Night Live. Studio sitcom.
Mm.
Yeah.
So was it a continuous storyline or was it a skit kind of a show?
Yeah, it's a 1 hour prime time, not quite prime. Oh, it's like a prime time, 10 o'clock Friday night every week on Channel 4. Network channel, and it's a sitcom corner. Little bit of like a famous singer and come and sing their hit song or two. There's a different segment in different show that he was on it every week, and the most famous one was the sister God, like a godfather kind of figure. Her name was Akiko Wada, a real famous singer. That she and her sidekick does this skit, with the comedy, situation comedy, and Destroyer was in it, and not fully speaking Japanese, but that made it funny, that he was learning the language, and also he used to be the scariest heel, up to that point. Okay, he had 10-year history in Japan before he started that
Hmm.
show. See, Ricky Dawson's era, as it seemed like forever, right? But it only lasted between 1954 to 1963, all of 10 years.
Hmm.
Okay, Ricky Dawson era,
Yeah.
beginning of television and beginning of wrestling.
Hmm.
Beginning of wrestling was the beginning of television, right?
Yeah.
And Ricky Dawson's, the last rivalry, in 1963 was Intelligent Sensational Destroyer. You know, he back then, for American wrestlers to come over to Japan was like a once in lifetime experience, right?
Hmm.
His first trip was Destroyer's first trip was 1963. Spring, you know, he came in as WWA World Champion,
Yep.
Los Angeles version
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Worldwide Wrestling Associates.
Hmm.
He came in as champion and defended his title against Ricky Dawson, and Ricky Dawson as a challenger, you know. And you would think Ricky Dawson would beat everybody and get a title, right?
Hmm.
Destroyer successfully defended his title and brought the title back home. Okay, then he already had his second trip the same year, December of '63. This time, without championship belt, he challenged the Ricky Dawson's international title. Okay,
Okay.
and he was the last opponent before he got,
Yeah.
he passed.
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
was in, very important last program of Ricky Dawson, and he was the last opponent. You know, and two matches they had, both draw. Like the 10-year big legacy of Ricky Dawson. He eh, all these name wrestlers from Luthez to Sharp Brothers and Freddie Blassie to
Mm.
everybody, right? And actually, Dick Beyer Destroyer was the one that clicked the most. That he had this. Actually, they're same size, like
Okay.
175. Like a
Right. Right.
5'7",
Yep.
5'8".
Yep. Yep.
Not really tall guy like your
Mm.
Sharp Brothers or Don Leo Jonathan or Bobo
Mm.
Brazil or
Mm.
something like that. Actually, they really complemented each other.
Mm-hmm.
And also Ricky Dawson, that was like his last year, but nobody knew about it until he
Yep.
died. But
Yep.
figure for okay, the big, parts unknown mask guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intelligent, sensational destroyer, but for sure, the destroyer. That he there was a masked guy before destroyer here, like a Mr. Atomic
Mm-hmm.
or Zebra Kid,
Yep.
but destroyer was instant superstar in Japan. That he could wrestle,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like the first American to do the like American style promo,
Yep.
you know, and also parts unknown that nobody knew who he was, right? Well, Dick Beyer, of course, but
Yeah.
it was like all well written that if he loses his match, 1, 2, 3, he'll take off his mask and that his identity will be
Yep.
yeah, will come out. Then the people go, yeah, who is this? Who is this? Oh, just a guy, right? But I mean, they're so into this. If Ricky doesn't beat Destroyer, Destroyer's gonna unmask. And what they did was they did the draw, right? Like
Yep.
like a 60-minute draw or something, like a double DQ or something. And his he, what was new was that he juiced inside the mask. Big blood
Yeah. I've seen the
underneath the
photos.
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is like a white mask, right?
Mm.
The white mask will turn into red from inside.
Mm.
Dramatic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And also introduction of figure four leg lock.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will gets out. Well, it's so
Yeah.
classic, right?
Yeah.
And well, because Ricky Dawson sells so much, like Yeah, I mean, as big as Ricky Dawson was,
Yeah.
when Destroyer apply his figure, deadly figure four leg lock, that would be the end.
Mm.
And well, Ricky Dawson sold so much that I mean, it's a type of wrestler that the Ricky Dawson couldn't even beat.
Mm.
Yeah. And the second beat, okay, fast forward a little bit, the December that the Destroyer already making second trip in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
That's rare, because
Mm.
so high demand. We
Yeah.
want we want to see Destroyer one more time, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year, he came and have another single match against Ricky Dawson, and this time, of course they tease, I'm gonna unmask, if I lose, or they do the figure four leg lock thing, and this time Ricky Dawson introduces Luther's backdrop suplex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, outside the ring, both guys counting out, right? No
Yeah.
winner again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And after even Ricky Dawson passed, Destroyer made 9 more trips, 9 tours. Uh, Actually, it was very interesting. Ricky Dawson match 1963, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Giant Baba match, or they had the other Giant Baba matches, but if Destroyer loses, he will be in Japanese side.
Mm. Mm.
You know, very like that was the second tour of All Japan Pro Wrestling. Baba quits
Yeah.
JWA and opens his All Japan Pro Wrestling in
Mm-hmm.
October of 1972, and Networks Channel 4, Ricky Dawson's network, and
Yep.
same TV channel, Channel 4,
Yep.
that carried wrestling all these years. They moved with Baba and they
Yep.
started broadcasting All Japan Pro Wrestling right away. And very second tour, Destroyer made his 10th appearance in Japan. At the time, the storyline was that Ricky Dawson's family brought a very, ruthless looking belt, from Ricky Dawson's
Yep.
belt to Baba, and Baba will go through 10, single match with, all the superstars from all over the world, like actually like Bruno Sammartino, Terry Funk, the Destroyer, the Abdul the Butcher, the Wilbur Snyder, the Don Leo Jonathan,
Mm.
beat them all, But the first
Yep.
opponent was Destroyer.
Okay.
So it's a belt is like newly crowned world heavyweight title. Later on, that becomes PWA.
Yep.
And PWF.
PW.
Pacific
Yep.
Wrestling.
Part of the Triple
Pacific,
Crown later on.
Right, right. Pacific Wrestling Federation Championship
Mhm.
was sanctioned by Lord James Blair's, you know, from Hawaii, right?
They
Yeah.
keep the Lord James Blair's bit in every time we watch the, the title matches on YouTube.
Yeah, you
That's
read
still
that?
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know, and I know PWF office don't even exist in Hawaii,
Yeah.
but they always had Lord James Blair's actually flying from Hawaii to read this,
Yeah.
you know, this title match is recognized and sanctioned by Pacific Wrestling Federation and President Lord James Blair's, right? I mean,
Yeah.
to give the authority, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before PWF was formed, that the Rikidozan belt, you know, came to All Japan, and
Mhm.
Baba was gonna go through all these, you know, important 10 single matches, right? And actually, it was just exactly 10 years after Rikidozan fight. 1963 Rikidozan
Okay.
Destroyer, 1973 the Baba Destroyer match. You
Wow.
know, it's
Was
very it's like Destroyer was a super popular American wrestler all this time.
was much made of that at the time that it was 10 years on from those matches, or was it just coincidence? Did anyone mention it at the time?
Hmm, probably did, but now it means more because you know we can look back and right that the historical Ricky and Dick Beyer match was 1963, and
Hmm.
historical John Baba Destroyer match was 1973, 10 years
Mm.
later, exactly in Tokyo, and well, Destroyer got 10 years older, right? Yeah, Ricky Dozan fight he was like a 33,
Hmm.
and Baba Destroyer fight he was like 43. At the
Okay.
time, he was working AW as Dr. X.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but actually he wanted to come and join All Japan, you know,
Hmm.
and the announcements were made, you know, like a rare American wrestler with Mike in the promo, you know, if I lose this important, you know, the unification, I mean, title elimination tournament match, I will join All Japan Pro Wrestling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, like joining All Japan, right?
Yeah.
Then that one, Baba beat him, you know,
Hmm.
and he announced that I'll be joining All Japan. And following week, Baba and Destroyer became tag team partner. You know, very first official babyface, American babyface.
Right. So even at that point, Terry wasn't playing a baby face much, if at
No,
all.
1973, Terry was still young.
Okay.
Terry doesn't get big until like 76, 77.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I
you
just
know.
figured because he had, toured with prior to All Japan that there was, I don't know.
Yeah, the Dory Funk Senior and that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah.
still, yeah, popular but cowboy. But Terry Funk needed Abdullah the Butcher to become super babyface.
Okay. Okay.
Not until 76, 77.
Right. Right.
In 76, Terry Funk would come in as an NWO World Heavyweight Champion.
Hmm.
Neutral.
Hmm.
But to have Abdul the Butcher and the Sheik, that will make the Funk super babyface.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. So we have to, we got to wait another few years. But the
Okay.
73, spring of 73, Destroyer turned babyface and worked against American.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so
Then April, you see, school year starts in April in Japan
okay.
instead of September.
Hmm.
March of 1974, Dick Beyer went home to Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
He brought the entire family to Japan to move and live.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah, the Cart Beyer and
Yep.
Mona Chris and Richard. And the 74 on that the Friday night TV starts, they
Hmm.
appointed Destroyer to be in there, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it about him that made him the right person to be the first baby face? I know during his matches he's very loud and he talks a lot. Is it that is that connection that despite the fact that he's wearing a mask, he's so expressive that people understand his
You know,
emotions
but
at any point?
how Japanese people love this thing like Ultraman and Kamen Rider and
Yeah.
you know the mask, Gecko
Hmm.
Kamen, anything. Destroyer is your character,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
for older fans, that guy used to be Ricky Dozan's biggest rival, right?
Mm. Mm.
And Baba's generation is like but he's a world-class wrestler who decided to drop everything in America and move to Japan.
Mm.
Like a Major League Baseball player or something, come
Yeah.
and join Japanese team, and
Mhm.
actually not just tour to tour, but he moved his whole family. It just lived
Mm.
the gimmick, sort of,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he lived in Tokyo, Azabu, and he was part of the community,
Mhm.
and well, the whole family moved over, so his wife worked here, and all the kids went to school here, and he became just destroyer, and his family became institution.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, and they were willing to learn the language,
Mm.
and yeah, then destroyer was a superstar before that,
Mhm. Mhm.
Y- you know the not just Ricky Dozan fight, but like in 1967 World League tournament final, Baba against Inoki. I mean, Baba against Destroyer, and few other tours that he always brought in his sidekicks like a Nelson Royo and Paul Jones. You
Mhm.
know, uh, the 13th annual World League tournament, the three top guns, Destroyer and the Abdullah the Butcher and Kettle Carl Cox, like a top points. And the tournament final was four people: Baba, Inoki, Destroyer, and Abdullah the Butcher. Four people in final, And
Mhm.
Inoki and Destroyer, double count out, therefore was eliminated. And Baba beat Abdullah the Butcher to be the winner of the World League tournament. And he had this always on top, and always on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was going to say. So he stayed on top, even from '64 through to that time in
Yeah, yeah. Nine
joining
more
All
tours.
Japan.
Nine more tours.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And he was always that. And also, he was like turning 40, 43, right? But
Mhm.
he didn't show it. It
Mm.
really was. He was always in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe he made Abdul the Butcher big star in Japan because the babyface Destroyer was up against then, top heel Abdul the Butcher.
Mm. Mm.
This Destroyer brought a one championship belt called U.S. Heavyweight title. I
Yep.
don't know where it was recognized, but the U.S. Heavyweight. Later on, it was PWF U.S. Heavyweight title.
Okay.
But this U.S. Heavyweight title was, they played catch.
Mm.
Abdullah the Butcher beat Destroyer for the title, and Destroyer, win the title back from Abdullah the Butcher, and there was 10 uh, best masked man in the world, thing like a 3-year storyline. Destroyer had 10 different opponent, starting from, of course, Mil Mascaras,
Mm.
Tornado, which Dick Murdoch, that Avenger, Moose Morowski, Blue Shark, Dan Miller, um, Mr. Wrestling, of course, the Tim
Yep.
Woods,
Yep.
um, Barracuda, Mario Mirano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mario Mirano, that the Barracuda, uh, uh, Black Devil, the Blackjack Moose, of course, Don Jardine as Super Destroyer.
Spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler. All these 10 mask opponent, one after another, he beats and unmasks them.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Wow.
not male maskers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Of course not.
yeah. But the male maskers in Destroyer, they fought about 3 different single matches,
Mm.
like programmed. Who is the best mask guy in the world. You know,
And
hindsight that I was kid, so I didn't understand it, but they booked the match real carefully. That
mm.
it was big leapfrog, on male maskers, big leapfrog,
Mhm.
and Destroyer tried to go through that and hit his groin by accident.
Mhm.
you know. And then the Mil Mascar goes down like an accident, and then hitting the referee called the match draw, like a no contest. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a time that the Mil Mascaras tried to, study and learn how to do figure four leg lock. So Mil Mascaras put the figure four leg lock on Destroyer.
Mm.
I mean, such, they, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of old fashioned, old classic, but Giant Baba, like a real, like a old fashioned booker, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
they did all these textbook, booking idea. Yeah, all through
Yeah.
these, all my childhood. Yeah, when I look back, yeah. And that Friday night TV thing really made him babyface and really made him really popular. And
Hmm.
also, it was on Channel 4. It was the idea that they would bring in more people into wrestling, wrestling audience too, yeah, live crowd, yeah.
So, um, how did he, in terms of the character or the way that he acted on that show, how did it? Was it an extension of him on All Japan TV, or was it very clearly something different?
Oh, he was like he was becoming more and more local babyface
Hmm.
American who lived in Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it was like he pronounced something funny, right?
Hmm.
In Japanese, and you get slapped in the head. Yeah, and then he get mad and put a figure hole on this comedian, you know.
So it wasn't as though people were going, oh, like the people on the wrestling side were saying, oh, this is bad.
No,
Quite.
no, no, no,
It's
no,
it's
never.
more of a, oh, well, this is helping his growth as a baby face.
That's a split. Yeah, it's a
Mm,
mixed bag because classic wrestling fan always want to have a wrestler to be scary, like a
mm,
scary, larger than life. But that
mm-hmm,
friendly version of Destroyer made him even bigger star.
mm, mm.
So it's a mixed bag. Traditional wrestling fan always say, "Well, that's the end of Destroyer," right? But he was even more popular for people who's not watching wrestling.
Mm,
See,
mm,
even in Japan, wrestling isn't for everybody.
of course.
Yeah. I mean, some people without watching it hate it, right?
Mm, mm.
Yeah, it's wrestling. Yeah, pro wrestling is big though, right? But still, that it brought new audience in the tune
Mm,
into the wrestling channel and high ratings. See, it's not a internet streaming or pay per
yeah,
view or
yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. It's a network television. That's
Mm-hmm,
when the television all through 60s and 70s into 80s that the big TV set was right in middle of your home living room, right?
yeah,
Everybody sit and watch.
of
And
course.
it's a network channel that the Saturday night 8 o'clock, you let's watch
Mm,
Baba, right? It
yeah,
was
totally.
always Friday night 8 o'clock, channel 10, let's watch Inoki.
Mm,
And
mm.
Saturday night, channel 4, 8 o'clock, let's watch Baba.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so actually it was like a Monday night too. Watch IWE, Kokusai.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of weak one though, but they had their own, fan base too. So like three network channel carrying three different wrestling, on prime time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually at the time, channel 8, Ch- Fuji Television,
Oh, yeah.
already carrying All Japan Women.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the Friday that the channel 8 All Japan Women's program was like a Sunday afternoon 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So yeah, completely different
Yeah,
audience,
audience.
completely.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Maha Fumiake, the Jackie Sato,
Mm,
Maki Ueda, the beauty pair
yeah.
singing in the ring and all that. Different culture, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
totally.
watched it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what was so from that profile that he gained through being on television, did he do anything else, or was it, or was
Okay.
that?
Okay. He lived there all the way to 73, all the way to 79, right?
Hmm.
He came back every summer from
Okay.
80 on to 94 until he
Hmm.
retired.
Yep.
And he was part of this the kids wrestling destroyer team.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fundraising.
Hmm.
They brought the American, like a fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade kids for the wrestling
Hmm.
tournament and fundraising and charity and all that. Yeah, he was like every kid had this destroyer T-shirt and all get up, and he was like a like a private ambassador in this wrestling community and school and this amateur wrestling and the charge and all that things. And
Mm.
also Azabu, that the Tokyo, there's Azabu district where he lived.
Yep. Yep.
There's a that the summer festival, like your day May, like a May Day, or
Oh, yep.
like a block party.
Hmm.
When they have all these, um, yeah, the carnival and confetti and cotton cake and all these.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a carnival and a parade. Destroyer always had a destroyer's shop
Oh,
right on the
cool.
street. Yeah, where he sold his little dolls, miniature mask for kids.
Hmm.
I it was somewhere here that I bought the Destroyer T-shirt.
Yeah.
Hang on, hang on. Yeah. Ah, it's
Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow.
Fumi.
Oh, cool. And I've seen some of the merchandise.
Yeah, I went over there a few times to get his autograph and get picture taken and all that,
Mm,
And he was part of that Azabu community, and also when there was a big huge earthquake here in Tohoku and all that,
mhm.
he came in and volunteered, did he and his people volunteer work for like cleaning up the whole house and the street and his
Yeah,
destroyer and whole people, his group of people. And
yeah.
he was always associated with school and fundraising, charity, kids amateur wrestling, um, such. Yeah, he made sure that he was always, still had connection with Japanese community, even
Mm,
after he retired. And he always wore a mask in public.
okay.
Yeah.
So how and I hope this is part of that whole journey. Do you know much about the Christmas album?
Oh yeah, it was a 75, 74.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was in the
Yeah.
middle of the TV show.
Yeah, because that show lasted 4 or 5 years,
Mm, mm.
Yeah. And the Destroyer had a Christmas album and I think Christmas concert too.
Okay. So he
Yeah.
sang all of that stuff live.
Yeah, like a reindeer thing.
Yeah, wow. I have a
And also he was on other TV commercials too.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The only people who was in commercials, Destroyer, Abdullah the Butcher, Hulk Hogan, Terry Funk, Stan Hansen. That's about it.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you say he was when on the charity side of things and the wrestling, so did that continue after his retirement as well? Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
stayed in the Japanese kind of psyche all the
Yes,
way
yes.
throughout. He maintained that connection.
Until like a year before he died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Always had a mask on, though. And he got Japanese government finally gave him medal. You know, only for cultural, people who receive. Like culturally influential people
Hmm.
or who the people who did who accomplished so much in community and culture. You know, uh, yeah.
Yeah. So is that something where they kind of list the accomplishments, or is that the generalization that they use, for culture and all that kind of thing?
This is like a serious metal,
Mm,
really.
mm.
Very serious metal. You have to look it up 'cause I don't know the translation of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of Order of the Rising Sun, I think it translates as.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's for the like politicians or
Mm, mm.
the mayor or the governor
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the real famous, novel,
Mhm, mhm.
authors. Yeah, it's not just anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so what aspect of his career in Japan lent itself to that award the most? Was it the TV? Was it the wrestling? Was it the charity, or just a mix of everything?
Mix of everything and being someone called Destroyer. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Ultraman.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I guess
Yeah,
he
yeah.
predates all of those wrestlers that did,
And
wear
also
those.
he proved interesting fact, that the 1960 version of Destroyer, 70 version of Destroyer, there was an 80 and 90 versions of
Mm,
Destroyer. And after 2000, he by wearing that white mask, rim mask, that guy still looked the same,
Yeah.
like Ultraman should. You know what I'm saying? He proved the fact. I'm sure he was bald headed and everything. It's just
Yeah.
he aged inside the mask, but the mask became the institution
Yeah. Yeah.
beyond wrestling.
Yeah.
Really. So people recognize that guy is Destroyer. I mean, not a wrestler's gimmick or something character. That guy lived the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
So big. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can explain this well enough because that guy was huge, big, big, big superstar.
Oh, I think, and it's because it's a thing that speaks all languages. The TV ratings alone of his, his big matches with Ricky Dozan
And Giant
and
Baba. Oh,
and
Inoki and Baba too. And the tag team with people like Jumbo Tsuruta and Tenruz in that generation too. And his retirement match in '94, 6-man tag team, he tagged him with his son Kurt.
Kurt, yeah.
So this is like an institution. Yeah.
So look, I don't think I'm, and I know it's always a difficult thing to compare eras, but given the amount of eyes that were on him, particularly in the 60s and 70s, is it fair to say he's as big as any American that did wrestle over there?
He is unique case because nobody came here and lived.
Yeah, okay.
Brought the whole family over and actually had a house in Tokyo. And then all their kids went to school in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. And he even spoke the language. See, you see, Abdul the Butcher, the Terry Funk and Dory Funk, Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody a little bit later on, but they didn't really, or Stan lived here a little bit, but they didn't really have, I mean, like he resides, just he was in Tokyo and then he's like, he really came here and stayed, it was rare, and later on, a lot of people, a lot of people did the kind of, like Finn Balor or Kenny Omega or but they lived here too, then the Kenny Omega probably spoke better Japanese than Destroyer did, but that's not the same, Kenny Omega did not have network TV show, late night comedy, or never was on the commercial, or Kenny Omega walking around the streets of Tokyo, nobody recognized him. Really.
Of course.
Nobody but wrestling fan.
So probably what it's more fair to say is it's not necessarily his fame that was as big as any other American, but the way he was embraced by the Japanese people and he, gave that back is probably not surpassed by another wrestler.
No, he was the only one who did that. And also, it had to be it had to be Destroyer because he had a history. The biggest rival of Ricky Dozan, and Ricky Dozan's last opponent before he died. And that chapter was never closed.
Yeah.
And Destroyer after Ricky Dozan, the Destroyer came back and had a title match against Toyo Nobori right away. They kept coming back to be top guy, in spite of Ricky Dozan's era. Toyo Nobori, Giant Baba, Young Inoki. It had every single, single match with every single important Japanese wrestlers. Then when Giant Baba opened All Japan Pro Wrestling, he was the first one to come in and, had an important single match. He offered the storyline that if I Giant Baba, I'll join All Japan Pro Wrestling. Then he did, not the gimmick. He really brought his whole family over. It was all played out on television. And I think it became a lot bigger than the wrestling storyline.
Do you think, and on the move to All Japan, do you think it was because Giant Baba was that number one student of Ricky Dozan that he went to All Japan rather than
more her appearance politically, because Giant Baba was was JWA's choice, and Rikidozan's international heavyweight title inherited to Giant Baba to be international heavyweight title when he was so fed up with old management like Yoshino Sato and all that bad guys.
Yep.
He walked out of all Japan. I mean, at the JWA, Nippon Pro Wrestling. I mean, like a political reason, but Channel 4, Nippon TV,
Right.
NTV,
Yep.
choose Baba to be that the her parent, the right choice of people. And soon enough, see, Inoki left, Baba left, all Nippon Pro Wrestling really went down. That was the end of it, right? For real. And Rikido, the Destroyer wouldn't have worked for Inoki. It had to be Baba's new company.
Okay.
Did everything right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And also 10-year rivalry from Rikidozan's era into Baba's era into Baba's new era. The superstar Destroyer now joining Giant Baba to be very, very first American babyface. There was no American babyface. Well, maybe like a couple years before that, IWE, International Wrestling, Enterprise, that had had a Billy Robinson as a coach,
Okay.
And JWA, Nippon Pro Wrestling, had Korogacha's coach, but they never really played the babyface character, Korogachi was Korogachi, Billy Robinson was Billy Robinson, Although Billy Robinson was in Japanese side, working against foreigner as a heel, but the Destroyer is a character, and likable, lovable character, and also he was so animated in the ring, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. The noise and he's constantly talking
And
through the matches.
Strut walking, and I'm smart, and mask guy is so animated, and also the match is very storytelling for non-wrestling fans watching TV, because he work on guy's leg the entire match, right? Knee drop and this and leg, until he gets the figure 4 leg lock. Then he wins with it. Yeah, so it's like a figure 4. Every kid in Japan tried figure 4 leg lock at school. I did. See? Every kid.
Well, speaking of you, what's your strongest memory of the Destroyer?
Joining All Japan. Yeah, and he kept the word, and he became Baba's regular tag team partner until rookie Jumbo Tsuruta was ready. You know, and then Destroyer against Abdul the Butcher big program. He bled from inside the mask too. Yeah, he still couldn't unmask. Yeah. Always tease. What did he look like, right? But he never unmasked. So he really kept the mystique. I mean, like a textbook mask guy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, textbook. Yeah, Mel maskers than him. See, most of the guys start taking off mask at the end.
Yeah.
Even original Tiger Mask Sayama. Yeah. And Destroyer is just about the only guy. Yeah. And because of it, 80-year-old Destroyer still look like Destroyer.
And he always kept himself in remarkable shape anyway.
Yeah, so that's like your Kamen Rider or Sofu
B.
I believe that the Destroyer was the first Sofu, guy who had Sofu B.
Yeah, really. So he predated those the Bullmark figures.
He came up with his own Sofu B, I think.
Okay.
With like a Tomi Takara.
Ah.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. Because
it was like this, not an action figure. It was more like.
I've seen photos on his website of them.
Yeah.
And I've seen a puppet which has a similar head, but it's got the German helmet that he wore in the TV show.
Okay. Oh, okay. German helmet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can't wear that now. It's a Nazi helmet.
No, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
But it was just a prop, though, wasn't it? He said there was no meaning behind it.
And also, you get hit by a thing, like this.
Yeah.
You get hit by the your co-host of the show. Dumb shit. Baka, like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like he wears helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he had an overall, like a really small. It fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just was a great comedian. Yeah, yeah,
He, all that ad-libbing, with promos and everything obviously lent itself to comedic timing and
yeah. And also he carried himself like a star wherever
mm,
he went.
mm,
Yeah, it was natural. Yeah.
yeah.
So it was like, see, it was like a lot like your Buddy Rogers, like, um, yeah, Freddie Blassie, like,
Mm, mm,
yeah. So
mm.
he was like a natural American celebrity type professional wrestler.